G'day listeners, welcome to Barkarati, the sailing podcast. My name is Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we do our golden Olympic special. This is the rare one, the untouchable one. But before we introduce our amazing guest tonight, I have to introduce my two idiot mates. First off, Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
Hey, Pete.
Well, what an anticlimax this is. This was supposed to be the medals one, you know, the anticipation, the intensity, the adrenaline, but it's all over. What are we going to do? Just celebrate, I suppose.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, BP. Let's bring in the other bloke.
He had a voice that could make a wolverine purr.
Mr. Nick Bice.
Well, we can't celebrate just yet, Brett Perry.
Well, okay.
And despite our discussions we've had in previous podcasts about do you sail the last race if you have won the regatta, in this case, you have to.
Yes.
You have to sail the last race.
Yep.
So good discussion coming up and one of the best. We got one of the best on the show today. So stand by, gents.
Shall I bring him in?
We shall.
Some say he is the forgotten gold medalist. He is an Olympic gold medalist. He is one of the legends of Australian sailing, and he's a world champion. He's an Olympic gold medalist, former international model, and our superstar guest for this Olympic special, Mr. Tom Burton, OAM. TB, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Current model as well.
Sorry.
Current male model.
Beautiful. That's
Love
awesome.
It. Love it. Mate,
Fantastic.
we're sort of, just tell the listeners, we're going to do a bit more of a Tom Burton special a little later on, but we just wanted to get his expert view on everything Olympics. Are you pumped about the Olympics, or are you sort of sitting at home going, well, you know, I should be there?
Oh, yeah. Heaps of people have asked me, how I'm feeling. And yeah, it was one of those weird things. Obviously, the selection for the laser spot was, in reality, it probably was only going to be a couple of months ago if the Olympics was last year, but it's been, over a year now. So it's kind of, well and truly over the hill, I thought. And then I started watching the racing. So obviously you get the adrenaline pumping. I know all the guys racing there really well, raced with them for 10 years. Obviously know Matt and Blackers really well. And then, it kind of just brings up those memories of the whole selection battle and all that a little bit more as well. But yeah, definitely watching the racing, you get I've always been on group chats, chatting to people, either watching the tracking or the live coverage. And, I didn't have a heart rate monitor on, but it felt like I was doing the race myself.
Yeah, I can imagine. Hey, I just have to ask, Bud, if I gave, if you had $1,000, right, in your pocket right now, would you bet on Wernie winning the gold?
At the start of the week?
No, now.
Right now.
Oh, yeah, I think I'd bet my house on it now.
Yeah, Mr. Jordan Spencer is quite risk adverse, so that's probably a bet he would take.
Yeah. Even there'll be no bookies out there offering odds,
mate.
Amazing.
But in saying that, like at the beginning of the week, you probably know Matt better than anyone. Was your money on him?
It wasn't actually. It was, just because I saw the training. Obviously, the Aussies and the Kiwi guys were unable to go over to Europe and do any racing. They were, obviously simulating the best training they possibly could, which was, pretty good. But, just being able to see the European guys actually do some regattas and, kind of compete against each other all the time, for a couple of months. So I thought it was going to be tough, to be honest. I knew, obviously, certain conditions were going to really help Matt more than other conditions, which, is true for every sailor.
Yep.
But, I think, after the first day, obviously we could see him come off the blocks with a slow start. But if anyone's going to kind of stick it in there and come back and kind of not go away and kind of keep the focus the whole way through, it's always been the Aussie guys and Matt especially. Never going to kind of give up until it's said and done. So I was pretty impressed with some of those mistakes that he made at the beginning, and then just basically kind of found his conditions window a little bit, and then just hammered it home. Completely hammered it home. Did not leave those chances out there. So you couldn't have done any better.
Speaking of leaving chances out there, was it true Matt was actually going to change his name to Tom Depot after the selection was made, just to make sure he had every base covered?
Oh,
Lingsby,
it would have made
Burton, Tom Wern. Yeah, it's got a ring to it.
Tommy
would have made the story pretty good, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? Would have been.
Three in a row, 3 Toms in a row.
Yeah.
Maybe you should do it when he gets home.
Yeah, it's great.
Three-peat Toms.
Well, I think we'll.
Three Toms.
I have to mention.
Pete's. Okay.
I have to mention. I want to come back to this point, but I'll just bring it up there now that no class has been dominated like the Australians have ever dominated. Like the Australians have dominated the laser class, except for the Dutch in the RSX and maybe the Danish in the Finn at the start of the Olympics, and of course the Poms in the Finn now. Well, twice as much as that.
So what are you getting at, mate?
Absolutely nothing.
Basically, countries dominate a particular class. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly where I'm getting to, and I want to come back to that. But I was trying to throw some hyperbole into there. We're just too laid back on our show. I just wanted to throw a bit of hyperbole. But what I want to do is I want to ask how you would handle the gold medal race if you were in Maddie's shoes. But let's first remind everyone about your gold medal race, mate, because my God, that was unbelievable. For those who have forgotten, so Tom, you won gold in Rio in 2016. Going into the medal race, you were second.
Yep.
Behind Stepanovic. And do you remember much about that race? Because I do. And I looked at the video today to remind me, mate.
Yeah, I remember it quite vividly. Probably every place I tacked on the course, really, I could probably give you a rundown. But yeah, it was obviously a good race for me.
I'll throw some topics at you then. At the start, before the start, the match race, where you got that hook underneath him, got the penalty.
Yeah, yes. Basically, the thing that we came to was that the biggest chance I had was to basically get a good gap on the start. So, the pre-start was critical, and funnily enough, timed it pretty well.
So you guys were both back behind the fleet at the start, and you start working through. You start working through the fleet, and then of course you got the Croatian behind you, but that dirty Kiwi, Meech, suddenly decides you're a threat now. So did he give you much grief, or?
Not really, no, because he had his own. It's one of those things. It's always, you learn so much more. It's like watching a movie for the second and third time. You find so many more little details that you missed the first time. But for people watching it back or thinking about it again, he had plenty on, just making sure that he had a medal, because he could have lost fourth and fifth. So as much as he wants to try and jump me, he probably wants to keep his medal twice as much as he wants to jump me. So. I think he didn't give me too much grief in that race, thankfully.
Yeah. That final run, mate, what was going through your head in that final run when you were, because it wasn't a give me, was it? Like you?
No, it was pretty tough. I knew I had to pass one boat. I knew down the final run I had wrapped up silver. So basically, if you think about it in sections, like the first 75% of the race, I went from being in the bronze medal position to back to at least keeping my silver. And then basically that last run was like, give me a shot, give me one chance here, and I can just maybe jump it. So just needed to pass one boat, and then it happened. So it's one of those things I didn't realize until watching back later that, most of the race I was in bronze. For a short period I was back in silver, and then for a short period right at the end I was in gold. So didn't think about that during the race though.
Like 1 centimetre from the turning mark, I reckon. You got the overlap, got the inside overlap, and that was it. Like, you finished third in that medal race, I think. Was it third? Is that right?
Yeah. Got room actually on Stan the Kiwi.
Yeah. and into gold. And when did it hit home that you were winning gold, mate?
Yeah, it's like one of those things. You see, I watched a little bit of footage of Matt. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday, and it's one of those things. It's just not. It's not like a big shock thing because there's not like it. It's just different to some sports where like the whole crowd goes up and everyone goes absolutely bananas. It's a bit more of a subtle atmosphere, I guess, because plenty of the people around you are just devo because they've just either gotten beat or they've just had an absolute shocker. So, 95% of the people you're surrounded by are just pissed off or don't give a shit anymore.
I'm used to that, mate.
There's only a small percentage of the people out there that are going ecstatic. So it's kind of hard to get the same sort of atmosphere of like a, footy field where half the crowd goes absolutely bananas and you don't realize that there's half of the people that are pissed off. Like the majority is of the people that are kind of don't really care that much.
I guess in your own head,
it just makes it.
I was going to say, I guess in your own head, you got to think about everyone back home and getting excited because I can tell you, I was getting pretty excited yesterday, and I got pretty excited for your race too. So you sort of go,
Yeah, for sure. And I could, I sent Matt a message yesterday, and I definitely, from hindsight, you get more of an understanding when you kind of, if you hadn't had, like I never had my phone on during it, and I'd assume he didn't either, but you turn your phone back on. And you don't have enough time in the day. Yeah. You just don't have enough time in the day to answer all the messages. So, and that's when you start to realize that, kind of how special and important it is.
Yep.
And then, obviously the media starts to pick it up and run with it. And, sailing's not huge, so it doesn't last that long, but, people never forget.
The gold medal. The country's heaving, mate. Like the country is absolutely heaving when it's going on. Like we all just are totally into it. So the question then becomes for you, if you were in Matt's shoes now and you had to sail the gold medal race, what do you do? Are you going out with like a kangaroo on your sail, on your boat, or you're mucking around, or you're taking a beer?
Yeah.
Six pack to his new.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark Sailor's Lager. Trying to get a little clip in,
The golden version.
Yeah, I wonder because I think it says somewhere in the rule you've got to give it like your best shot ability. So you can't.
Yeah.
I don't think technically you'd be able to kind of take the mickey, and you wouldn't want to risk it. But So, but knowing Matt,
or
he'll go out and want to win.
Do you go out and win it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it could go either ways. You could go. I'm going to go win the race, but obviously in boat on boat situations out on the water, you're probably at half throttle. Really, like if someone's pushing that cross, you probably just don't really give a shit anymore. You're just like, whatever, man, keep going. Like, but
don't put yourself in for a DSQ.
Yeah, or you could, I've seen it was the 470 guys in Beijing just start on port and duck people and not really get in any situation at all. But
I guess you can affect other people's races, can't you? Too. That's the other thing.
Yeah. The one thing you got to remember is that that you can affect other people. So you've effectively your boat is 2 points.
Yeah.
So if you are between two people that are some people, I think there's like 3 or 4 guys from 4th to 8th. They need boats in between other boats. So they need you to be effectively the fodder between them winning the race and someone else coming, last in the race. So, if Matt just goes out and swims the boat around and has a couple of capsizes and jumps off and backflips and that, like, it doesn't help those people because he's not going to put his 2 points between the two boats that need it. So, he's done it many times before. He'll just race the race and kind of steer clear. And I guess it's the time where as well, it's good to have friends because all of a sudden you can kind of do a cheeky little help here, someone that you owe a favour to, and someone that screwed you over in the past. You can you can repay the favour.
There you go.
So what have we got? Who are battling it out now for the other steps on the podium here, gents? I must admit I haven't looked at the points in the last few minutes.
Do you want me to give you a rundown?
Yes.
Yeah, because you're the man, the stat man.
Okay, so Matty Wern is 22 points in front, can't lose. In second place is Herman Thomas Gard from, he looks like, what's that, the Danish flag? So he's 71. Stepanovic is 74 points in third. Contidas is 76 in fourth. And then go to Philippe Bull in fifth at 85. You got 86 points for Robbie Scheidt. And then the South Korean Ha is 88. And Meech is 89 in eighth place. And then the Frenchie, Jean Benaz, is at 90 points. And then Carl Tarper, the Finn, is at 93. So there's a massive battle going on there just for laying your points down. And so there's 20 points that can be floated around there. So 20 points between 71. Yeah, so it's going to be 73. So you're up to 93. So, yeah, everyone's sort of in with a shot for a couple of medals, except for it's probably the top 8 have got a chance at a medal, I guess, in a mathematical sense. Any predictions, Tommy boy, or not?
Yeah, I guess, it's always a little, everyone gets a bit optimistic looking at those points. In my mind, it's probably, the guys from 5th down aren't going to get a medal. I'll be very surprised if they do.
Yep.
But, one interesting thing, and if they do, I would say it would be the bronze or something like that. Like, there's no way guys from 5th and 8th are going to go and get 2nd and 3rd overall. It's just not going to happen. But the interesting thing, Pavlos and Tonchi, obviously training partners, good friends, spent a long time together. They could be duking it out for bronze and nothing. So
yeah,
that could be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Herman's probably had a blinder. Like, he's had one blinder in his career, really. He won Miami by like 50 points one time.
He's Norwegian, isn't he? He's Norwegian.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, probably I don't think he's been on the podium. So he's having an absolute blinder. But I think from watching the racing yesterday, Pavlos just had a full meltdown in that final race. Obviously I was watching one race where he got his first yellow. He was coming 4th. So that was a bit unlucky. And then obviously I think when he got his second yellow, he was coming 2nd. So
yes. Yeah, we were all watching
I'd say once is unlucky, twice is probably just stupidity. Like, when you're in 2nd place doing that sort of stuff was probably uncalled for.
Was it clear to you watching it though that it was a clear penalty?
You're watching on tracker though, were you?
Oh, it's just on tracker. It's just a pumping flag. It's just it's just too much kinetics downwind, rocking or pumping. So you can't tell on the tracker. But I know the bloke, so he pushes the limits pretty hard. And watching some of the races at the start of the week, he was getting some good Jesus cards. So it was going to be impressive if he could hold on to the form he was putting out there. Like, some races I saw him go from 35th to finish 4th. It was just unbelievable. But he does that sort of stuff. He's the type of guy that does that. But yeah, I still owe him one from he got me a good one in Aarhus in 2018. So I was hoping I was hoping he was like 17 points behind Matt, and Matt could just bury him in the medal race. Was my hope. But
in the perfect world,
you could transfer it.
Yeah, and then I was going to message Matt and say, just turn around over the finish line and just say, TB said do that. So yeah. Anyway, he might have done it to himself. Anyway,
it looks like it. He sort of. I think that those double yellows really did change his whole. He just lost it after that, I think.
Yeah, well, looking at that the last race yesterday, like, he went around, I think Matt went around 6th at the top. Pavlos went around 7th, behind
he was right there. Yeah.
And then he, on the downwind, just instantly splits. I guess because I think overall he was 10 points in the overall picture. He was 10 points back on Matt. So he's probably thinking, I need to get some more points back. So, but, the one way you don't get more points back is losing points. Yeah. So he went from 7th to nowhere, and all of a sudden he's off the rack. But yeah, it was just an interesting decision watching it on the tracker, because surely you just keep applying pressure to Matt and not just kind of split off. It was just, let Matt wrap it up with a day, 2 days to spare and, party on. Could have at least kept it in the game and, made him at least
earn it. Made him earn
one of those, made him earn it and sweat for 2 days. He obviously saw his good mate Tonchi, had 10-point lead going last time and stuffed it up. So, you'd at least try and apply the pressure the same way. But interesting to watch him. Basically hand it away.
Who took it off Tonchi again?
Some bloke.
Some male model.
Pretending to be a laser sailor.
Wow, the intensity. Yeah. It's intense in the laser world, isn't it? I love it. Hey, actually, we got to touch on race 10 in the women's rating. Did you catch that one at all, Tom?
Oh, I think I was I was out maybe sailing 49 or something. I came in and my phone was blowing up. But then I kind of got on it late. I got on it and started watching just after the second race had started.
Yep.
And then I was just trying to catch up, and I saw a few little replays, but it was hard to fully get it. But from what I understand now is that she got a yellow flag in the first race of the day.
That's correct.
Right.
And then, just had a complete shocker.
She was pumping in the first race, got a yellow there, and then the second race on the start.
She was deep anyway, she was deep, so she must have been pumping to try and catch up. Obviously, you can risk it when you haven't got one, and it's your drop race anyway, so you're like, oh, well, what have I got to lose?
Yep.
And then on the start line, she seemed to be starting, applying some pressure to Marriott. I don't know if it was a kind of match racing thing or whatever, but must have got done sculling.
She got done sculling, and then she she went for the hook, and she went in for the hook as well, and got in like didn't give any room at all. So there was a bit of a tension there, and I think that's what tipped it over the edge.
Yeah. Well, like the jury's not going to give a penalty for a boat on boat situation, but obviously it brings attention, and then they look closer, and then all you need to do is scull the wrong way a couple of times, and you're done. But so second yellow. But then the most interesting thing was that not many people knew the rules, including myself.
She started.
Because I didn't think you'd be able to restart.
Yeah, well, she did. She started
because it was general, right?
Yeah, but
when she got done, and then is it true she could have kept going, or
she could? From my understanding now, from what I've heard, that she could have kept going. Like she didn't have to pull out.
Correct.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
If she did continue and got a yellow, which would have been her then third yellow, that would then be DNE.
Yeah, she'd have to carry that.
And carry it.
Yeah. So, weird because, I think from what I've heard that they've just put a little appendix in for the Olympics where you can do that, because I've had the exact same situation happen before and I couldn't restart the race. So, interesting one.
And because that was the big dispute between her and her coach.
Yeah.
Where he basically gave her the thumbs down to say, you must not, you've got to pull out of this race. But then they were discussing it, and in theory, she could have kept going. And that's where the big breakdown happened, I believe. Yeah.
Well, what I had heard as well is that by the time she got to her coach, because they, in a general recall and laser fleet, obviously it's a pretty common thing, so they bang it out pretty quickly. Within 1 minute of the general going up, the next minute it's coming down, and then the next minute, five's going back up. So, by the time, especially in light winds, your coaches have got to be a fair way away. You don't even get to your coach in 2 minutes, even if you fully fang it there. So, so I think from what I heard, she actually, by the time she got there, the 4 minutes had been up, and you can't have outside assistance. Yep. So all of a sudden, like, he can't, even if he knows the answer, he can't tell it.
Copy.
So in this fleet,
it's all on her knowledge.
Yep.
And then she makes the call.
Yeah. Well, and the thing was, she did restart and then pulled out.
Yep.
So I must have been going through her head pretty hard.
Yep. So
which I think is nearly the worst thing, because you kind of screwed either way then, nearly, in my opinion. But
So she was looking at an unassailable lead like Maddie. But now she's got it's 64 points to Anne-Marie, and then Marie is 71. So there's 7 points there. And then the third place is 79, fourth is 82, then 83, then 84. So you know that
tight.
It's going to be a gold, silver are going to be fighting each other. You can pretty much rely on that, and there'll be a hell of a battle going for the third place. So Josephine Olsen is currently in third, just in front of Sarah Douglas, and then Emma Plashart. So we need to mention Emma because she's obviously Maddie Woon's partner. We've had both Anne-Marie on the show and Maddie on the show, and Maddie mentioned that every time the dishwasher needs unpacking at their house, Emma goes, I'm the world champion. You've only been a runner-up. So he has to unpack the dishwasher. So I'm interested if that is going to be on the cards now.
I'm the Olympic champion.
Stick your world champion. I'm the gold medalist. So that'll be a bit of
fun. You run the same in your household, Tom?
No, I actually unpack it in the morning, but she might be running the card. The old World Championships harder to win, arguably, because there's more people there. So she might just tack over and go with that one. I reckon.
Copy.
But I think from a laser perspective, the radial perspective, we're going to see a very intense.
I think so.
Gold medal race. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun to watch.
Hey, while we're on the radials, I want to talk about Mara. What a great day yesterday for her. Very exciting, and I'm sure she'll remember that for the rest of her life. And it's a good thing to end, good way to end after a tough regatta for her to get up into 14th. So to win a race in the Olympics must be a very special feeling. So well done to her. Awesome work.
A very likeable person, Mara, and very capable on a boat. So we're excited for her. Yep, no doubt about that. I think there's two things to take from that. One, I mentioned, I thought she had a little bit of a boat speed. So she's got into conditions where her boat speed's better, and then by managing to stay up the front, not make mistakes, prove that she's got the ability once she does have that boat speed. So from Mara's perspective, from a psychological perspective, she knows she can match it with those guys. She just has to develop the range of her skills across the different conditions. So that was really good, I thought. So that's more than just she did well in the racing. There's the element, the way she sailed, and the way she
absolutely
placed herself and sailed the boat was really good. So that bodes well for her future. Do you know Mara at all, Tom?
Yeah, I actually did some coaching with her and the squad. So I would have spent total nearly a month, a couple of period blocks of a week or so with them, together with Tristan, kind of, I guess, just bringing my knowledge across to the girls' squad when I had kind of stopped doing the laser stuff and had a bit more free time. So I know them quite well, and obviously know Mara pretty well. The funny thing is that she's very fit girl, and even though she's quite small, the stronger wins is normally one of her strengths. So It was a little weird to see. I guess the flip side, the results were nearly showing the opposite of that.
But bit of nerves, again, bit of nerves.
Yeah, no doubt. Probably like one of the things, and no one really sees it or talks about it too much, but I was a big believer, and I kind of knew it myself, is when you get there as a sailor, you kind of know in the first day or two or three of training where you're at in your speed wise, because obviously you get your supplied boat, which might be slightly different, feel a little bit different or whatever. And that brings you confidence if you're on the pace straight away, or if you're suffering straight away, then all of a sudden it's not like alarms going off, but it puts a little dent in your confidence. And then if you can't kind of pick that up day to day and slowly get it on track, it starts to, eat away at you, I guess, a little bit. So I'm not exactly sure how her prep went in terms of that sort of thing. But one thing that I did see on the tracker a fair bit is that her stars probably just weren't up to it, in terms of getting her to the front. I think she probably had the speed to be at the front when she was there, but she just never got there.
Just always on the back foot.
Yeah. So, half the time, if you get a bad start, you're only being able to access part of the course that no one wants to be, effectively. Correct. So, that's
maybe she's just
that's
too
a pretty big problem. And that could come down to, a little bit of that. That could also come down to just, it obviously didn't seem to hurt Matt, but not competing, not doing any regattas for a period of time. So, for someone that's probably just not as experienced as Matt, it's definitely not doing racing. Probably, in hindsight, now you can say that probably didn't help.
Just going back to the supplied equipment side of things, Matt. For Matt to turn up at this regatta to jump in a boat, does it happen like you say? Like, did you have that in Rio? You jump in your boat, you felt fast, or you feel a bit not so good, or so?
Like this. Yeah. So I've kind of, I don't want to seem old, but I guess I was kind of around when Slingo won. Obviously got kind of the years before his games, then the preparation to mine, and then basically all the preparation into Matt's. And the boats have changed slightly, so I think the tolerance has gotten much better. So there's not as big of an issue of like rocking up and getting a bad boat, which was kind of more like possibility in like 2008, 2012. Yep. So basically when you get to the games, it's not really an issue, but you would definitely want to be able to have the confidence that you're going to get in a boat and there is not going to be an issue. So, doing preparation around trying heaps of different boats, not just sailing in, your one comfortable boat that you like to use all the time and using that for 4 years in a row. Like, that's not really the way to do it. Yep. We've kind of learned, I guess, and it all kind of stemmed from Slingo in 2008. And we all just, the whole three of us just never wanted that to be an issue. So a lot of effort behind the scenes trying to figure out how to tackle that the best, I guess.
I do need to mention, so the medal races are tomorrow. Laser men go first, 3:30 Australian East Coast time, and then the laser women go second, 4:30 Australian East Coast time, I think. With the laser radials, what do you reckon? Anne-Marie's still going to hold on, or Marie's got it? The wind's not looking very strong.
Yeah, it's with the light wind, obviously, as we all know, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But it's probably really how Anne-Marie bounces back just mentally more than anything.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. With her confidence, I was actually just talking to her boyfriend. I don't know if it's official or not, Ryan Polk. And I was just asking him the other day when it happened. I was just kind of giving him my 2 cents of what I thought the rules was, just in case. I'm sure he was watching, so I know him quite well and spent many years traveling with him. So I was just interested to get his take on it. But and he was kind of saying, the difference between someone doing this at the start of the regatta versus the end of the regatta, technically there's no difference. So, Matt obviously probably didn't stuff up as much as what she has done, but his start was really quite bad and has just come home amazingly strong. So, it's kind of nearly the same. She started really strong and obviously has had this massive dip at the end. But so in paper, like, it should look nearly the same. But I guess my biggest worry is that the trajectory of it is that, once if you start bad and start to get better and better and better, you get more and more confidence and you start to just get it rumbling. Going the other way, even though it might be the same result points wise, it really is how you bounce back, because you're just going to struggle to sleep. You got to have to sleep, have a day off. Like they would have had today off. She would have been stewing on that. Like, I can't even imagine. I know I've done some things where I've given away points and, you're so pissed at yourself. You just can't even sleep at night because you're like, why couldn't I just do it differently? But I can't imagine how she would have been coping last night.
I guess we're going to see the true character come out, lads.
Yeah.
No, it's probably the same in most sports, though, right?
Yeah.
Especially like
the elite level.
when you and like whether it's football or basketball or anything like that. No one really remembers the first quarter, but everyone remembers like that momentum you can get through the second half, for that matter.
The other thing I reckon is Marit is looking very quick in light winds, and Anne-Marie not so quick. But, you know, with a spread out field, only 10 boats, that won't matter as much. So,
that's another factor.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Is that a big factor there, Tom? Like you go from racing with 25, 35, and then next thing you've only got 10 on the start line?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, you know, there's things that, you know, are a super high priority when there's 40 boats that just aren't as high in a 10-boat fleet. You know, you get spat out on a start in 10 boats, you got clear air in 5 seconds. In 40 boats, you've got plenty on. So a little other thing like the pumping. I think one of the things in light winds, it's nearly, you know, obviously the jury and stuff, it's there to keep it fair, but you can never keep it fair. Someone's pumping more than someone else, and someone gets lucky and doesn't get seen, and someone else gets seen and gets a flag. Like it's always hard to I guess manage it. But the biggest thing in the medal race is, you know, you can't get disqualified. And when you get done for rocking, it's only a 360, not a 720. So the penalty's not as harsh.
Yeah,
so they it's nearly like a free-for-all. Like to do a 360 in a laser, it's like, you know, you barely lose anything. So, you know, especially doing, you know, in 5 knots of wind, because as you're doing the 360, you're pumping like the jibe, and then you're pumping the tack. The person going downwind's only going like at 2.5 or 3 knots. Like they barely get away from you. So, you know, in the medal race, you know, it's more just, you see it often in the laser medal races. There's just flags going left and right because the penalty is not really anything compared to the crime. So it's just nearly polar opposites. As soon as you go to the medal race, it's just a free for all.
Wow.
Well, exciting times, eh, lads?
Can't believe it. Speaking of exciting times, in 1994,
oh, yeah, back then.
during the Bledisloe Cup,
here we go.
George Gregan pulled off a tackle of Jeff Wilson, saving the game for Australia. And at the time, I was watching with a mate, and we were debating at the time, was it the best tackle of the game? No. Was it the best tackle in rugby? Yes. Was it the tackle of the century? Yes. Was it probably the greatest sporting moment of all time? Yes. Yes. And I'm going to ask, we have to start throwing the question out there. We all rave about Kovalenko, but Blackburn does have to get some credit. Mike Blackburn has been a stalwart of part of all 3 of the gold medals. He does have to get some credit. Is he a genius? Do you guys get on? Are we allowed to talk about it?
Oh yeah, I get on with him fine. Probably not as much as I used to because I don't see him as much. You know, I used to see him nearly every day, and now I don't see him much at all. But yeah, obviously, probably doesn't get. Well, it's one of those weird things. He gets plenty of credit within the team because everyone knows what he does and what he's done. So it's just one of those things that we don't get that much media coverage anyway. So
probably coaching in general is not a big reward position, right? In the public, especially with an Olympics type thing.
Yeah, not really. Yeah. I don't think, what coaches do get, plenty of...
Well, Jordan Spencer, because he talks it up so much of his ability.
Kovalenko gets recognition. I think he's got the best brand recognition of anyone.
Yeah,
for bringing Opti styles, though, as well. Well, there's a few different things.
But, it's just interesting. I think the coaching thing is important. I just wanted to... we were... Like Slingers did a big thing about it today. We were going to do this question before Slingers thing. So it was definitely, I think everyone else is thinking it, and some of our listeners have sent in the note. And it's just a point of observation. I don't know Blackers at all. I've never even actually met the guy. I don't know. You guys, so I don't know what.
Met him once or twice.
He's there's got to be.
Oh, mate, even if you were standing next to him, you wouldn't know because he's such a quiet bloke.
Yeah.
So I probably have met
It's not like he looks like a
The
a
super
super
coach.
athlete or anything like that, or super coach. It's like you just don't know. Doesn't walk around in
Got the visor
gold
on,
medals.
got the
Doesn't
whistle
walk
around
with
his
3
neck.
gold medals around his neck or anything. So you just he's a quiet guy, pretty humble, and quite shy. So just he wouldn't be the one to approach someone normally anyway. So unless you basically go and chew his ear off, you're probably not going to talk to him that much if you don't know him that well.
I guess what we're saying, it's a three-peat. It's very rare that something like this would ever happen, and he's been a part of all 3. So I guess he definitely deserves some recognition. So
Just
to Michael Blackburn, well done.
I want to ask though,
Well done, Blackers.
Yeah,
on your
there you go.
Is the Finn coach? I can't remember the Poms Finn coach. Is it the same bloke? Is it for
Sid, who was Ainsley's coach.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if it's the same
Doubt it.
guy. They've got a good.
Yeah,
program.
I'm not sure who's. Yeah.
I want to throw a theory out here.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Finn was not dropped from the Olympics for all the reasons stated. It's because the IOC hate the Poms and want to get rid of a gold medal from them. That's the theory I've got developed suddenly because they've been winning and unbeatable in that class.
You throw it out there, don't you? Hey?
Well, the IOC clearly sailing is at the top of their priority list.
They talk about it every day.
So you're probably not far off.
To be fair, it must have moved up the list compared to the previous Olympics because it's actually got some sort of coverage and there's some TVs around somewhere with some boats on them. So it's doing better than previous Olympics.
Absolutely.
No,
I'm
we
glad
can't
you brought it
argue
up.
with the footage.
I'm glad you brought it up.
And it's only because we got 48 channels, basically, with the live stream. So,
but we're getting a lot of people. The standard old Mum and Greg. My mum and Greg are getting on it. They've been watching the sailing, and so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the only thing that I would, obviously can always be better. I'm not gonna say it can't, but I was watching the tracking today of the 49ers. It's like their last day, which is arguably probably more important than the medal race. God, and we had the RSXs on the TV, which it's good to see a gold medal one, but if it's wrapped up already, it's kind of boring. And at the same time, between the medal races, you're just watching water. Yeah, and it's surely there can be two, we can flick across and flick back. It's just painful.
I share your
and it's not as though the race courses are spread that far, right?
Yeah. Oh, half the time you can see them you can see them in the background, and you're like,
exactly.
That's them on the chart.
I share your frustration, and I'll be honest, no disrespect. We've all been windsurfers. We're all massive fans of windsurfing. I cannot stand the pumping. I just can't stand the constant pumping. I tried to watch the gold medal races with the RSXs. 100%, because there was a bit of tension in the women's event. The Chinese, the French lass looked real close to taking the gold from the Chinese lass, and it really came right down to the end. So in the end, China, Lou beat Picon, and then Emma Wilson from the UK into the bronze. But I really, 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 really struggled to watch that event. And the same with the men's. I think I'll probably be more interested in the foiling. I don't know if I will be, but the RSX is pretty old technology, and it looks it. It was old technology when it was released. It really was. The race boards were much different to what it was doing. Like they're just heavy and not great boards. But I think they could have done better, but maybe we're just biased because we're sailors at heart. I don't know. The dinghy racing's better than watching the windsurfing, I think. Am I in trouble?
You're always in trouble.
You're in trouble. But kind of on the same wavelength here. Mm-hmm. Are you going to the moth worlds, Tom?
No, I'm not actually. I've sold my boat and I'm waiting for a new one.
A new RSX? Sorry.
Wingding.
Yeah. I've got a wingding, but no, waiting for a new moth. New Swift moths coming out, so should have one of those shortly.
So why'd you go the Swift?
Can't get overseas anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, copy.
I was just going to say, why did you go?
What was that about the Swift moths?
Yeah, why did you pick the Swift moth?
Well, it's the latest. We're just building it at the moment. Which is going to be the first one prototype. Basically, just from my experience in the moth, is that if you're buying something that's from overseas or something that's kind of production, you're never really going to be the fastest or kind of have something different than other people. Not that you need something different than other people. Half the time, I just want to, coming from my laser background, I just want to have at least equal speed. But the problem is that, if the guys are building Exocets were the fastest for a while, so all the guys in the UK had massive advantages because they could get all the latest gear, and you're just getting whatever they want to give you. Not that I ever had an Exocet, but so to be able to get something close to home, built in Australia, designed by a good friend of mine, is kind of a way to be able to go off on our own little tangents and tweak and fiddle to potentially chase something really, really, really good. So cool. I was interested, that's the line I'm going.
What are you adding into that one? Just, those top moth guys don't listen anyway. So what are the little secrets?
I've got a little, my latest little tricks in the garage. I just making myself an old school, like the old America's Cup style booms, really skinny is my latest little trick. Okay. So hopefully no mothies out there listening, but the latest in moth world, I think people are doing that Z boom to try and get the deck sweeper to work. But I'm not a huge fan of the vertical bit of the boom. It's obviously going to be copping a fair bit of wind. So I've gone a little skinny boom. I've got something from CST and kind of knocked it all up myself. So we'll see if it breaks first day up.
Well, good luck at that.
Shoot up.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Righto. Well,
it's got
days of sailing coming up.
I just want to mention that Kieran Badlow from the Netherlands winning the gold in the RSX. I think that's only fair. That
Blue Ed.
Yeah,
Blue Ed.
Yeah,
Blue Arrow Ed.
In front of Goyard from France and B of China. What about, there's a bit of controversy in the 49er class. The Brazilian team and the Irish team got disqualified from 2 races midweek. Did you guys catch that? I know BP did. Did you guys hear about this?
It was a bit radical. I didn't think that could happen, but
no, I saw it for their harnesses being overweight.
Yep.
Obviously, something that doesn't happen in the laser nor the moth, Tom. But
no, it does. It can.
Sure. Well, not your harness.
No, not your harness, but
not your harness.
It was interesting. Just because they've got a rule, it's a class rule. It's a 2 kilogram weight on the harness. Okay, which is quite light for a harness.
Very.
And so the rule about measuring and weighing your gear has been in the rules for a long, long, long time. And so they're just doing random checks, and 2 teams got thrown out. That's pretty harsh. Pretty
brutal.
Harsh.
It's a rule.
Harsh penalty as well, because the Irish had a good day today, and they had a good day, good couple of races I've seen. So they would, I reckon, for sure be close to the medal race, if not up there a bit higher if that hadn't happened. So the funny thing is, I've never in my whole career seen people's gears being weighed. Never, ever.
No,
not when I went to the Olympics, not at any other World Championships. I've never seen it ever.
No.
So
maybe there was.
I find it weird.
Yeah,
I find it weird. It's just people's harnesses. Why not their whole gear? Why? I don't really get it.
Yeah,
maybe there's a bit of word that got out.
I wonder.
Yeah. There was one I read something about the gear being old and taking on water, so not repelling water.
It's amazing. Yeah, a bit of harness gate. So that was a bit of a travesty because it wasn't. I think the Brazilian harnesses were 2.3 kilos and the Irish one was like 2.1. So
nothing.
It's not a huge amount, but it still counts. And yeah, it is a harsh penalty. It is definitely a harsh penalty, but that's the sport, isn't it? Like it's in the rules. And I guess every team now is going to weigh their gear before they turn up. That's just going to be the way it is. Surely.
So it should be.
Well,
I mean, if it's in the rules, you need to respect it, right?
Yeah.
One thing that's difficult though is that like dry or wet or dunked or dripping or like
it's immersed, so it's in the rules. I think it's 50.1 and Appendix H as well.
Just from memory,
just off the top of my head.
I think I have heard it. You dunk it and then you let it dry. You let it drip dry for X amount of time, then you weigh it. But like, really?
Yep. For 1 minute.
Which is why the comment came back that it was holding water. So if you're going to go down that path, I mean, water's heavy.
But I guarantee the next day everyone was weighing their gear, doing the test.
I bet you.
I guarantee everyone was doing the test because it was a random selection from what I'm told. So, interesting times. But it's just the Olympics, that all this stuff happens, and it is our sport. We're a technical sport, so it's pretty interesting. I guess there's one thing about Wernie winning. It's taken the whole power of the ginger away, hasn't it, Tommy? Like, the to win in a laser, you had to be a ginger for a while.
Yeah, or the name Tom, but it seems like it's no longer the case.
Yeah, any idiot can win now.
Yeah, well, I was actually in a group chat with a couple of lads. I don't know if you'd be able to guess who said it, but the comment came through. But mustn't be that hard to win a laser gold medal anymore.
Oh,
or not
done
anymore,
it again.
But it mustn't be hard to win. Yeah, but I'm waiting for my reply to put a little cheap shot into Slingos there as well.
Yeah,
I'll keep it.
Yeah. All right. So just moving on. So with the gold medals coming up, let's just touch on a few of the classes and see if you've got any views on them. So on Monday, the gold medal races are the 49er FX and the 49er class. You guys up to speed with where the results stand with the 49er FX and the 49ers?
Yeah, been having a look.
I'll tell you.
Pretty close.
I got to say in the FX, the Pommy teams they must be pretty sad that they're looking so good for a while and they've just had a really bad finish into the regatta. So I feel for them. I feel for them because they must have been pretty excited, but that's gone away now. After 12 races, it's very, very tight at the top. Basically tied at the top. So Annemiek Beckering and Annette Doets from the Netherlands in front of Martine and Kahina from Brazil. So they're tied, and then it's Tina Lutz and Susan Buick on 73 points. So, and then Tamara and Paula from Spain just in after that. So that's going to be another huge battle. That one will be a lot of fun to watch. Any gut feel at all?
Well, you talked about it earlier about having a slow start and then coming good at the end. You'd have to say that Martine is an example of that. She struggled at the start and she's come good, and now she finds herself here. So if you're going to take momentum into the game, that's one thing to take into it for sure.
Tommy, you got anyone?
I think those results quickly. Obviously, the British, just on paper, obviously look at obviously very good in strong winds and obviously not very good in light winds. So, it's such a tough game. If the regatta started 2 days earlier, the same schedule as the lasers, they would have been, home and hose nearly. Yeah. So it's pretty brutal. But looking at the results of the last few days in the light, the Dutch girls, I don't know them at all. But I know some of the FX names, but I don't know them at all. But they look like they've been sailing pretty well on the light, so they could be on for it, I think.
Yeah, the German girls are sailing well in the light too. Really, definitely one to keep their eye on. So it's going to be a massive battle, three-way battle. So that'll be interesting. In the 49er class, though, speaking of starting slow, is this sort of New Zealand team? Have you heard of Pete Burling and Blair Tuke? They've definitely come to the fore towards the end of this. I don't know if you guys have heard of them.
Who was that? Sorry,
Phil Burling and
Phil Burling,
Bruce Tuke or something.
Oh, Brian.
You idiot. What do we think? These guys
Just
it's too hard to bet against them, isn't it?
it's just they're flexing their muscles, right?
I think under pressure, if anyone's going to perform, those blokes know how to do it pretty well. So
Pete does fall out of the boat
like you say,
occasionally.
hard to bet against. Hard to bet against.
I agree. Hard to bet against, but the Poms are sailing brilliantly as well. You got to mention those guys. There's 4 points between them. So the New Zealanders and then the Poms, and then the Spanish are tied with the Poms. So there might be a bit of a battle, and then there's quite a gap. So it's a race in three there probably.
Yeah, I was with the 49er guys because doing the 49er stuff now and the Kiwis were up in Mooloolaba with us before. So Pete and Blair up there, and I was on a group chat with the 49er guys today, and I thought that they might have gone a bit better and nearly, the 49ers are so sporadic with the points. I thought that Pete and Blair could have nearly done a semi-decent day today. And, you put 20 points on someone really, really quickly. So I thought that was nearly on the cards. But I think if it was just the Kiwis and then the British and then a bit of a gap, I would have my money 100% on the Kiwis. I'm a bit, the Spanish being there so close and the British, and they're not rookies, these guys. Like even though Pete and Blair are big names and everyone knows them, Dylan, pretty experienced guy himself, done like the F50 stuff the first year with the GBR team. And then the Spanish guys have been sailing 49ers they're like some of the oldest guys in the fleet. So these guys aren't rookies, and they're going to be definitely swinging for the fences with being how close they are to winning. So, I don't know. It's one of those ones that Pete will, come out in the clutch as well. It's like a Tom Brady moment. But these other guys, it won't be a gimme, I don't think.
No, I think you've got some credit there, Tom, because they're the ones to be gunning for as well.
Yeah,
to take the gold away from the Kiwis.
Yeah,
you're going to see some sensational stuff about to unveil here.
Absolutely, and then you got to have the New Zealanders are going to be looking over two shoulders to know where they both are, if they're behind them or if they're in front of them. They're going to be trying to catch, and so it's going to be all on. Yeah,
but I mean, they're very talented. I mean, that whole fleet is super hot.
Oh yeah,
and obviously, Tommy, when you're doing a bit of training, it is. I mean, all the fleets are super hot. What am I saying? It's just fantastic. it really is fantastic watching. How close and how well everyone's handling boats, and the standard's fantastic. It's great fun. It's great fun watching real good sailing. But if you had to put your money on it at the moment, you can't. But the New Zealanders would have. I think there'll be a few Kiwis that have put an awful lot of money on the bet on Pete and Blair, and probably a fraction nervous, but not super nervous. Is the way I'd describe it. Yeah. They would have
Yachting is a fickle sport, my friend.
It is a fickle sport.
It is. They would have been real nervous at the start, but
and then just chuck some light winds into that. That's exactly what you're saying. I would agree with. But then you chuck light winds and you just basically, whatever you said, throw it out the window and start again.
Yeah.
Like, it's just anything can happen, I watched the last race of the guys today, and Pete and Blair were in front of the Spanish. And then only a half an upwind and a downwind to go, and the Spanish finished sixth or something. Yeah. And, it just happened so quickly. It's going to be, light winds, skiffs, it's more of a lottery than you can ever have.
The Irish boys got first. Trapeze
rubbing the salt in a bit more.
Yeah, Trapeze Gate.
Right.
Yeah,
looking forward to that. What's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
So on the Tuesday, we go into the Finn medal race and the NACRA 17 medal race. So we got still plenty of races to go on those, but geez, the form, like Giles Scott, geez. Have you ever, I mean, Giles is so much bigger, I guess, Tommy. You never get to go head-to-head with him in anything. Have you ever been able to, or you've seen him up close, I guess. Is he a good sailor?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not bad. He's a tall bloke.
He goes all right.
Tall bloke. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. That's kind of, half the reason why I got a Moth is you get to race these awesome sailors that you never normally get to race because they just sail a different boat. So you're always chasing boats where everyone, like all the kind of big names can sail, so you can kind of actually stack up. But yeah, there's just some blokes that are just too big that no one can. You can't sail the same boat as everyone. So it'll be. Yeah, he's a big guy, but he's turned it on. He started very slow as well, which was surprising, and then the breeze came and he lit them all up. So he's doing a pretty good job. And the Spanish guy though,
the Spanish guy's held his own.
Had a blinder, he's been consistent whole way through.
Because he's a young lad. He won the Worlds, I think, from memory. He's a young bloke. He's not that old. He's just come out of juniors.
Out of Opties.
Yeah, out of the Opties, straight into the Finn.
Straight into the Finn.
Anyway,
had a growth spurt over winter.
I think he's a pretty good sailor from what I can work out. He's going real well.
Not bad.
The interesting discussion is for our New Zealand friends, like Josh has started to go a bit better towards the end of the regatta, but I think there'd be a bit of sadness at the moment. They were hoping for more. There's still a few races to go, another 2 races left, but yeah.
Yeah, well, the whole New Zealand squad as a whole has basically underperformed. I'm not sure if I'm missing any, but they haven't got any medal chances bar the 49ers at the moment. I don't think. And yeah, Josh was obviously, like, I know Josh pretty well. He was, won the Worlds last year and 3rd at the Worlds this year. Beat Andy Maloney to the spot, who I know well as well, and he's coaching him at the games here, and they obviously won 2 America's Cup. So yeah, and he's been to an Olympics before, so he's kind of been there and done it, and then came like eighth in Rio or something like that, which he was disappointed with. So I expected him to come out firing harder. Obviously, he's kind of finding his straps towards the end here, but it's nearly like he might have given him too much rope at the start.
Leaving the run too late. Saying that, 38 points to 36 to 4th to Nicholas Heiner, and then John Borberech is on 29. So there's still room, but it's going to be tight, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Light, it will be.
Before we get, so just with the NACRA 17, question for you, Tommy, would you sail one?
I've actually sailed when I was, the whole selection thing with the laser happened. And then I was trying some different classes. I sailed the NACRA with a girl up, Emma Jones, up near where I live on Lake Macquarie, and did that with her for a couple of months. Maybe, not crazy amount of time, probably sailed not even 20 times or something like that. But then, and then I jumped in, did a bit of 49 and stuff, and I kind of enjoyed the 49 a little bit better. So I kind of persisted a little bit more with that. So I have had a couple of goes, but geez, on some of those big days, they look bloody loose. I don't
loose as.
Oh, Jesus. It looks loose.
It's a bit scary, isn't
but
it?
The Italians and the Brits, I was, when we were up in Mooloolaba training the 49er, the NACRAs were up there training as well. Jace he's always a calm, confident guy. So, I thought he'd be pretty onto it. Looked like he'd been going well, but in the breeze, it looks like you might be a bit closer in the light, but in the breeze, those Italians and the Brits, Aussies just don't really look that close.
Yeah,
luckily it's going to be light tomorrow, so hopefully he can pull it out.
Yep, 3 races still to go in that fleet. So,
had had a solid day today. I did sort of follow the second race on the tracker, and he actually sailed very well, and managed to close the gap on third. So pulled some points from Paul Cole-Hoff, and so he's only 3 points out of third at the moment. So he's sort of like, it's like he's pouncing, you know.
I reckon the Italians look hot. They're sailing great. So yeah. Speaking of sailing great,
well, both the Italians and the Poms, they're up there.
Yeah. No, I get that, but I do think the Italians are just a fraction hotter than everyone else. But speaking of really hot at the moment, still very halfway through their regatta, our 470 men, Will and Matty.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're only halfway through. We're 6 races in. We've got 10 races to sail. They're 11 points with a drop. The Poms, Luke and Chris, are at 22, and then the Kiwis at 27. So there you go. So, I mean, anything can happen, but they seem to they've been quick right across all different wind conditions. You know,
I have been watching this one pretty closely, and I don't think that they've won one start. I think they've been mid-fleet, but they've been conservative off the start, and they've just been trusting their boat speed out of the start and just find themselves in clear air and just sail really nice races. And I guess that's their attitude towards it, you know, conservative and get moving and rely on their boat speed, because they've always come through the fleet. I mean, at some stage there, I mean, I did see them at 16th at one stage, and next thing you know, I'm looking at them and they're 4th at the top mark. So they've got boat speed, and if that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think in the 470, the one, I guess, taking kind of their performance out of it, but I would have thought going in that they were going to get, you know, obviously they're the favourites because they've won so many events, got so much experience, they're pretty bloody good sailors. But when they went over to Europe, I think the guys that were on form were the Spanish young blokes.
Yep.
And then potentially the Swedish guys, or I'm not exactly too sure. But in my mind, if anyone was going to knock them off, it would be the Spanish guys that were just going to be on a belter. And nearly like, you know, wherever they went was the right way. And, you know, sometimes that happens and you just nearly can't stop someone. So, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. They've kind of just been yo-yoing up and back, and, you know, you can't do that, you know, especially to guys like Matt and Will. You can't yo-yo if they're just going to be at the front the whole time. You got to be in front of them the whole time, which is what the Croatians did in 2016. You know, they just kind of kept chipping away, being in front of them the whole time. But no one's doing it to them, so I can't see them getting run down.
No. Interesting, isn't it? But yeah, I think you're right. They've still got plenty to go. Same with the women. So you couldn't really call it in the women, but geez, the Polish ladies are doing really well.
Yes,
Bicey's
sailing
the
well.
expert in pronouncing our Polish team. Actually, Tom, do you know the Polish ladies at all?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Anyway, but they had. I think the skippers won a Worlds before in the 470. I think from memory. Well, from memory, I keep saying that. But beyond that, obviously the English team the British team is something. You know, they've been around, and Hannah particularly is pretty fantastic. But again, a really deep fleet. And I was expecting the Japanese actually, because I think the Japanese won in 2018 or something in this fleet. They put a lot of energy into the 470s. That's their passion class. So, yeah.
In saying all that, Jordan, there's not a lot between third and first. There's only 7 points. So
that's right.
So there's
heaps
still heaps to play for here.
Yep. All right.
I mean,
cool. So who's going to win? Tombo?
In the women?
Yep. Who's going to win?
Oh, I wouldn't have a clue.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't follow the women's 470s that closely.
No, I just
and I don't really know the form list. So, yeah, maybe the Polish.
Yeah, they're sailing well. Sailing well. I think it's a race in, a couple. I think there's two.
Poles or the Poms?
Yeah, the Poles or the Poms.
It's between those two. But if you look at the form of them, the Poles have really sailed nicely. So anyway.
So,
there we go.
Who's the standout? What's been the highlight of the Olympics for you guys? Anyone sort of looked at that? Is there something where you've just gone, wow, you know, whether it's good or bad or funny or?
I think when our water polo team beat the Croatians the other night, that was pretty good. No.
skateboarder that fell off and pole drive the fence or whatever it is.
Oh, God.
No, I think, and I'm sure a few of us would agree, for Matt to go in with an unassailable, well, basically gold medal win before he even starts is the medal race is that's got to be a pretty big highlight right there.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah. If you could pick, this is for you, Tom, if you could put the classes in for the Olympics, like how would you structure the classes? Is it around, would you do it around weight? Would you do it around like mixed? What do you reckon the priorities should be?
I'm not a huge fan of having just a bunch of mixed classes like obviously the NACRA's mixed, but next time the 470s mixed as well. It seems like, potentially the trend is just going to be all the double-handed boats could go mixed, which, I'm not a huge fan of. I'm also not the Finns getting kicked out, which gives a lot of people a bit of the shits that, there's no boats for the big blokes to sail, which I do agree with to a point. But I think the thing about being a professional athlete is that you've got to adapt your body to do what you want to do. You can't just pick the boat that suits you the best because it's not going to suit some other bloke the best. So, I don't really, we need to just have a kind of a range that, people have got to at least, to put on 10 kilos, plenty of people do that. To lose 10 kilos, plenty of people do that in other sports. So I don't really see the uproar about all that. But I do see the trend that all the boats are getting smaller and smaller people. Like you see the size of Matty Belcher and Will Ryan, it shouldn't be like that either. So that's a bit, sore spot, I guess. We don't want just skeletons walking around and all that. So
would you welcome class like Moss?
Yeah, it's a hard one because, it needs to be, it can't be so development based. The MOF is obviously this, ultra extreme, won single-handed America's Cup nearly, the MOF.
Yeah.
But, there is kind of some development boats the 470, 49 and NACRA are kind of in that realm. It's kind of, you got to buy from the manufacturer, but all of it's kind of a bit different. So you get crap and you get good gear. But it gives the countries with money such an advantage because you just buy more gear and you realize that gear's crap and that gear's good. It's just, you spend more time and money at it. You find out more information. So, that's why the laser's so good. Because, you get given your stuff and what we want to see is more countries competing. I wasn't a huge fan of, obviously the gender equality is a big thing on the radar of the IOC and all that. So from Rio, we had 44 guys in the laser and only 35 or 36 or something girls, whereas now it's done a full 180. The guys got cut to 35 and the girls got added, which I kind of get it, the gender equality thing, but because, the reason behind that is we've got the Finn class, which is all guys. So it jacks the male attendance up of the sailing a fair bit. So then we've got to try and effectively subsidize it by getting out some classes. So, which, makes sense in theory, but on paper, there's just not 45 capable countries to sail the women's laser radial. So at the high enough level of Olympics, that's, and we've all watched the racing. You see some countries coming in a ways back. So, which is, fair play to them. They're doing a good job, but it's just, it's not really what people come to see. So yeah, well, and in the laser classes, there's some definitely capable guys that missed out on going to the Olympics because the nations we're only allowed 35 nations. So nations no Dutch in the laser, and a couple of other countries that are actually pretty handy and on their day are as good as anyone. So I'd say in the laser class, there's probably some countries that probably missed out, and they probably should have been there.
Interesting.
I think we all agree on the gender equality side to an extent, but it doesn't necessarily represent our sport.
Yeah,
as
but
such,
I guess the sport's trying to make it so that we've got equal numbers of male and females, which I'm all for. I think the more women sailing, the better. I don't care what you are, it's just as long as you go sailing. That's what I think's the sort of the deal. So I guess you have to, sacrifices are made. Things get missed out. Like all the big guys are getting sacrificed now. So so I guess, but
sacrificed.
Well, they can't. I mean,
well, I guess at the end of the day, the rules get set and you play by the rules. So
right.
And if the rules end up being shit, they'll change the rules and you'll play by the new ones. So I guess you just they kick out classes and put in classes every different quad based on, I guess, how it succeeded. And if it's good, it'll stay, and if it's bad, it'll go, which is probably how it should be.
But guys like, say you're Jake Lilly or you're Scott Scott, you're not going to get down to any of the Olympic classes. You're just never going to get down in size. It's just never going to happen. So, and the population's going more to that way. Like the average size, I think, of a male now is 6'3", 100 kilos.
Lives in Queensland, 100 kilometres south of Noosa.
So anyway, but I do have to bring up one more thing from the Olympics. The Japanese lady counting down. Are we worried about her voice? How much counting she's doing?
She seems to be on every fleet.
Well, she's not on every fleet. Not only on every fleet, she's on everyone's phone as well. I put I put Siri to speak like Japanese, and it was her.
You reckon it's just Siri?
No, well, Siri or Alexa or whomever you want to put on your sat nav or the car thing. So, but that's her. Or Waze or whatever it is. It's her.
But that's how come she can count down from 17 minutes every second.
Oh, no.
Because it's computerized. It's Siri. Siri, count down from 17.
I don't know. Is that something you've noticed, Tom? Like that countdown, she's just counting down nonstop.
No, I haven't actually. I basically don't know what you're talking about because I haven't noticed it at all. So maybe I'm watching on mute.
So, I'll tell you, the Japanese.
Oh, no, you're bugging now. Tomorrow,
everyone's going to hear it.
There'll be a fair chance you'll be shutting the TV down.
Well, it brings up something that I was going to bring up. But if they're looking at if you reckon the countdown's computerized, how did they pick the 3 OCSs in the men's RSX medal race today? Did you see that they pulled one guy out after like 2 minutes, and they pulled the next guy out after 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they pulled the next guy out after a whole lap.
Yeah.
And basically you watch the replay and you're like, fuck, I don't know if they were over or not. Like it was pretty bloody close. So
no, it's all AI.
Who's making those decisions?
The robot
it's
that
not
was
GP.
The robot that was shooting from the halfway line in the basketball that was sinking them, he was doing it, but he was a bit busy. So
oh, bloody hell.
That's good fun, isn't it? It's good fun. All right, we probably done enough on the Olympics. We're just. Did you do a listener of the week, boys? I think we're just about running to the end of the show. We've decided who's going to win everything. Did you do
who's going to win everything? Like all the merchandise packs?
Speaking of merchandise, boys.
Yes. We have hoodies available. Go to our website, merchandise page. And Tom, I've crapped on about this bloody merchandise pack for a long time for all our guests that do come on. But you'll be the first one to receive something. You may or may not.
You may or may not get it.
But I promise you, I'll be putting in the mail, Australia Post, on Monday, a Bar Karate Where the Treasure's Buried hoodie. coming your way. So for all our listeners out there, go to barkarate.com, merchandise page, order online, delivered to the house. It's possibly second best hoodie
in the world
available. Yeah,
second best hoodie in the world.
What's the best?
We don't know.
We haven't found the best yet.
Oh,
we just didn't want to sound egotistical.
Oh, using that one, are we?
That one. The other one is Listener of the Week. Did you come up with one? Because I want to discuss one if you haven't got one.
There's been a bit of chat, hasn't there?
There's been a shitload of chat all week. Almost need to put it in a hat. I think.
Go on then.
Liz Reynolds is up there. She sent in a magnificent bit of chat. And I mean, we're not going to read the whole thing right now. No. But Liz, you know what you've sent in. Listener of the Week. There may or may not be a merchandise pack on its way. And
I think she's come up with a slogan that I actually reckon we should get out there in the sailing world. And the slogan, Liz, I think Liz may have been on a few wines when she was messaging us because
she did hint that way.
We got a lot of messages. She's in the UK, but she has this theory that we should just have a slogan for sailing, which is give newbies a chance. So it should be just a thing, like because I know come and try days and all that stuff, but give newbies a chance. Everyone should sort of think about that, like the more people we get into the sport, the better it is for us because then, you can sell boats and gear and everyone gets jobs and we can all muck around and do sailing. So I like what she's saying, give newbies a chance. What that means is you take someone out or maybe dig out old boats and refurb them and have them at the club and people can charter them or whatever, but just get people out sailing. What do we think?
Yep, works.
I like it.
Whack a trademark on that, Liz.
Give newbies a chance.
Maybe even call it tackers.
There you go.
I think she's thinking from the adult perspective, Tom.
It was just my little dig there.
Yeah, no, that's good. Tackers. Like the adult version of tackers. Slackers.
Yeah. Slackers.
That's it. Awesome.
Anything else, guys? Anything you want to bring up, Tom? Any questions that we haven't asked?
Got any secret pro news for us, mate?
Secret pro news?
No,
anything going on out there that you've heard about that no one else should know about?
Oh, you heard about this thing called COVID?
Yeah.
Stay away from it. Don't get near it.
Yeah, it's changing the world, that one.
No, we've covered a lot, I think. I think we've covered nearly every class and a bunch. My secret new moth thing, and
I was going to say that you did release some secret pro stuff. So there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Langford will be jealous right now. He's only got 2 new moths on the go, so need to find out you've got something else going on.
He's going to whack
3
a skinny...
actually.
3.
One of them's in half.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There we go. Beautiful.
They're actually sending one that's broken already, so he doesn't have to break it himself.
Just rig it up on the dock and it pulls apart.
Tommy, it's been a ton of fun, mate. Thanks for coming and sharing your expert opinions on the Olympics. If you want to back Tom's opinions and go and bet, then that's up to you. But if it fails, I think he's got a money back guarantee.
Probably not.
A bit like the merchandise pack.
Yeah, it'll come with that.
Yeah. Nice. I love it. Oh, dear. All right, boys, anything else? We're good?
No.
Good.
Enjoy your week. Thanks,
Sign
Tommy.
off.
Go and get your guitar, BP guitar.
Cheers, guys.
Again, hang on a sec. I'll go and get it.
All right, hang on. Here he comes. Straight in the